In the heart of North Africa, where the golden sands now reign supreme, there existed a lush, green paradise, a sprawling landscape of vibrant wildlife, flowing rivers and fertile plains. This era of abundance was a time when the Sahara was not the desolate desert we know today, but a thriving ecosystem that cradled the dawn of civilization. Imagine the gentle rustle of palm fronds in the warm breeze, the distant calls of exotic birds echoing across the plains, and the laughter of children playing by crystal-clear lakes. This was the world of the ancient Saharans, a people whose legacy would be swallowed by time and sand, leaving only whispers of their existence buried beneath the shifting dunes. The Sahara, once a verdant expanse, was home to a variety of flora and fauna. Giant baobab trees stood tall, their trunks thick and ancient, while rivers like the Niger and the Senegal flowed through the landscape, cradling life. Herds of wild cattle grazed in the lush grasslands, and the air was filled with the sounds of life, chirping crickets, rustling leaves, and the calls of creatures both great and small. The first humans began to settle in this paradise, taking advantage of the rich environment that offered everything they needed for survival. As these early inhabitants established their communities, they developed a deep connection to the land. The people became skilled hunters and gatherers, learning the rhythms of nature and the secrets of the earth. They crafted tools from stone and bone, built shelters from mud and thatch, and began to cultivate the first crops, millet and sorghum, transforming their society. Over time, these small communities grew into thriving villages where trade flourished and culture blossomed. However, this idyllic existence was not to last. As the climate began to shift, the once reliable rains became erratic, and the rivers that nourished their lands began to recede. The lush green Sahara slowly transformed as the encroaching desert began to claim its territory. The changes were gradual at first, almost imperceptible, but as the years turned into decades, the impact became undeniable. The very lifeblood of the Sahara was slowly drying up, and the people who had thrived for generations were faced with an uncertain future. Archaeological findings have unveiled a treasure trove of artifacts, revealing the lives of these ancient people. Rock paintings depicting hunting scenes, ceremonial gatherings, and daily life offer a glimpse into a world long forgotten. These remnants tell a story of resilience and adaptability, a testament to the human spirit in the face of adversity. Scholars and scientists have pieced together the puzzle of this lost civilization, but many questions remain unanswered. As we delve into this enchanting narrative, we will explore the rise of this ancient civilization, the challenges they faced, and the legacy they left behind. The story of the Sahara is one of beauty and tragedy, a reflection of humanity's connection to the earth and the relentless march of time. It is a tale that beckons us to remember, to learn, and to honor those who came before us. As the sun rose each day, casting golden rays over the waters of Lake Chad, the inhabitants of the ancient Sahara thrived in their interconnected communities. Men and women toiled in the fields, cultivating millet and sorghum, while traders exchanged goods, salt from the mountains, ivory from the forests, and textiles woven with care. The vibrant marketplaces bustled with life, filled with the sounds of laughter and the fragrance of spices. However, as the climate began to shift, whispers of uncertainty crept into the hearts of the people. The once reliable rains became erratic, and the rivers that nourished their lands began to recede. Tensions grew as tribes competed for dwindling resources. setting the stage for conflicts that would change the course of their history forever. Among the key figures of this time was a wise and respected leader named Amina. She was known for her keen insight and ability to navigate the complexities of tribal politics. Amina understood the importance of unity in the face of adversity and worked tirelessly to foster alliances among the various tribes. Yet, as the drought persisted and the threat of starvation loomed, her efforts to maintain peace were met with resistance. In the neighboring tribe, a fierce warrior named Kofi rose to prominence. Known for his strength and bravery, Kofi believed that the only way to secure resources for his people was through conquest. He rallied his warriors, igniting a fire of ambition that would lead them down a path of destruction. The once harmonious relationships between tribes began to fray as the desperation for survival pushed them to the brink of war. As tensions escalated, Amina and Kofi found themselves on opposing sides of a growing conflict. Amina sought to negotiate peace, while Kofi's ambition blinded him to the consequences of his actions. The ancient Sahara was on the verge of chaos, as skirmishes erupted over water sources and grazing lands. The first major confrontation occurred at the banks of the river Niger. The river, once a lifeline for the people, had become the focal point of conflict. As Amina gathered her allies to protect their territory, Kofi prepared his warriors for battle. The air was thick with tension as the two sides faced off, the shimmering waters reflecting the turmoil that lay ahead. The clash was fierce, with warriors wielding spears and shields, their shouts echoing across the landscape. Dust swirled in the air, and the cries of the wounded mingled with the sounds of battle. Amina fought valiantly, her heart heavy with the knowledge that this conflict would only deepen the wounds of their society. Kofi, driven by his desire for power, pressed forward, determined to claim victory. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the battlefield, it became clear that neither side would emerge unscathed. The price of conflict was high, and the consequences would ripple through their society for generations to come. In the aftermath of the battle, both tribes were left to grapple with the reality of their choices. The lush landscape that had once nurtured them was slowly transforming into a harsh and unforgiving environment. In the months that followed, the situation only worsened. Drought gripped the land, and the struggles for resources intensified. Amina's attempts to broker peace were met with skepticism, as fear and mistrust festered among the tribes. Kofi, emboldened by his earlier victories, continued to rally support, convincing others that the only way to secure their future was through domination. Yet, amidst the chaos, there were those who sought a different path. Amina's vision of unity began to resonate with a new generation of leaders who understood the importance of collaboration. They recognized that the true enemy was not each other, but the harsh realities of a changing climate. Discussions began to emerge about finding solutions together, but old wounds were slow to heal. As the Sahara slowly succumbed to the encroaching desert, the people faced an existential crisis. The lush landscapes they had known were fading away, and the prospect of survival hung in the balance. The once thriving civilization was now on the brink of collapse, caught in a struggle for existence that would determine their future. The tension in the Sahara reached its boiling point as the conflict escalated. The battles fought over dwindling resources turned into a full-blown war, a desperate struggle for survival in a land that was rapidly turning against them. The vibrant communities that had once flourished were now fractured, and the harmony that had once existed was replaced by chaos and fear. In the midst of this turmoil, Amina found herself facing her greatest challenge yet. The tribes, once bound by shared traditions and a love for their land, were now divided by suspicion and greed. As Kofi rallied his warriors for another assault, Amina knew that she had to act decisively to prevent further bloodshed. The climactic battle occurred near the remnants of Lake Chad, a once majestic body of water that had begun to shrink, leaving behind parched earth and despair. The remaining tribes gathered, fueled by desperation and the belief that they could reclaim their way of life. Amina stood at the forefront, her heart heavy with the weight of leadership and the responsibility for her people. The air crackled with tension as the two sides faced off, their warriors lined up in stark contrast against the backdrop of the fading sun. Amina raised her voice, calling for unity and urging her people to remember the bonds that had once connected them. But the fervour of Kofi's followers drowned her out, their chants echoing through the air, a battle cry for dominance. As the first arrows flew, chaos erupted. The clash of metal rang out, and the ground shook beneath the weight of the combatants. Amina fought with a fierce determination, her spirit unyielding in the face of adversity. She manoeuvred through the fray, rallying her allies and urging them to stand firm against the tide of destruction. Kofi, driven by ambition, fought with reckless abandon, his eyes locked on victory. Yet, as the battle raged on, it became clear that both sides were suffering tremendous losses. The cries of the wounded mingled with the sounds of battle, and the once vibrant landscape was marred by the scars of conflict. In a decisive moment, Amina confronted Kofi on the battlefield, their eyes locked, and in that instant the weight of their shared history hung between them. Amina pleaded for peace, reminding Kofi of the lives at stake and the beauty of their shared land. But Kofi, consumed by his desire for power, refused to relent. The battle reached its zenith as the two leaders clashed, their weapons striking against each other with a force that echoed through the chaos. Amina fought not just for her tribe, but for the future of their civilization. She understood that the true enemy was not Kofi, but the forces that threatened their very existence. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a fiery glow over the battlefield, a turning point emerged. Amina, fueled by a surge of determination, disarmed Kofi in a final, desperate struggle. In that moment, she faced a choice: to deliver a fatal blow or to extend a hand of reconciliation. With her heart pounding, Amina chose mercy. She stood over Kofi, weapon raised, and declared, "We are stronger together. This land belongs to all of us." The warriors paused, caught in the tension of the moment. Amina's words hung in the air, a plea for unity amidst the chaos of war. For a heartbeat, silence enveloped the battlefield. Then, one by one, warriors from both sides began to lower their weapons, realizing the futility of their conflict. The realization that they were all fighting for the same land, the same future, began to sink in. In that moment of vulnerability, Kofi, humbled and defeated, nodded in agreement. The warriors exchanged glances, and as the dust settled, a fragile truce emerged from the ashes of battle. Though the scars of conflict would remain, a path toward healing began to take shape amidst the ruins of their civilization. In the wake of the climactic battle, the Sahara was forever changed. The once thriving communities lay in ruins, their vibrant marketplaces silenced. The aftermath of conflict had left deep wounds, but it also opened the door for new possibilities. Amina and Kofi, now united in purpose, faced the monumental task of rebuilding what had been lost. The first step was to heal the divisions that had torn their tribes apart. Amina called for a gathering of leaders from all the affected tribes, emphasizing the importance of collaboration in the face of adversity. The scars of battle were still fresh, but the realization that their survival depended on unity began to take root. As the leaders convened, the atmosphere was charged with tension. Old grievances resurfaced, and the wounds of conflict were laid bare. Yet Amina's unwavering resolve inspired hope. She spoke passionately about the beauty of their land, the shared history, and the potential for renewal. Her words resonated, igniting a spark of collaboration among the leaders. In the months that followed, the tribes began to work together to restore their communities. They shared resources and knowledge, pooling their strengths to overcome the challenges posed by the shifting climate. The landscape, once a battleground, transformed into a canvas of resilience as they planted seeds, rebuilt homes and revitalized their cultural practices. Kofi, once a fierce warrior, became an advocate for peace. He recognized the importance of adapting to the changing environment and led efforts to establish sustainable agricultural practices. The warriors who had once fought against each other now stood side by side, cultivating the land that had sustained them for generations. However, the challenges were far from over. The climate continued to shift, and the Sahara's transformation into a desert was an undeniable reality. The rivers that had once flowed freely were now mere trickles, and the fertile fields that had nourished their ancestors were becoming increasingly arid. Despite these hardships, the spirit of collaboration began to flourish. The tribes formed alliances, sharing knowledge about irrigation techniques and sustainable farming practices. They established trade networks that allowed them to exchange goods and support one another during difficult times. The bonds forged in the crucible of conflict transformed into a tapestry of cooperation, uniting the tribes in a shared mission to adapt and survive. As the years passed, the once fractured society began to thrive once more, albeit in a different form. The people learned to navigate the harsh realities of their environment, drawing strength from their collective resilience. The songs of their ancestors echoed through the valleys, reminding them of their shared heritage and the importance of unity. Amina's leadership became a beacon of hope, inspiring the next generation to embrace the lessons of their past. She emphasized the importance of stewardship over the land, instilling in the youth a sense of responsibility to protect their environment. The legacy of the lost civilization began to take shape, rooted in the lessons learned from their struggles. Yet, the spectre of the desert loomed large. As the years turned into decades, the Sahara continued to encroach upon their way of life. The people faced the reality of migration, seeking new lands that could sustain them. It was a bittersweet decision, for the land they had called home was also the cradle of their culture and identity. The stories of their ancestors, the hunters, the gatherers, the builders, became a source of strength as they prepared to embark on a new journey. Amina and Kofi, now allies in purpose, led their people toward the promise of a new beginning. They understood that while the desert may consume their homeland, the spirit of their civilization would endure. As the last remnants of the ancient civilization faded into memory, the legacy of the Saharans lived on in the hearts of those who had survived. The struggles and triumphs of their ancestors became the foundation for a new narrative, a testament to resilience and adaptation in the face of change. The stories of Amina and Kofi were passed down through generations, woven into the fabric of their culture. The lessons learned from their past became guiding principles for future leaders, emphasizing the importance of collaboration, sustainability, and stewardship over the land. The Sahara, once a cradle of civilization, transformed into a landscape marked by both beauty and challenge. The desert, while harsh, also held a certain majesty, a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. The people learned to embrace their environment, finding beauty in the stark contrasts of sand and sky, life and desolation. As modern civilizations began to rise, the echoes of the lost Sahara civilization resonated in the narratives of those who sought to honor their legacy. Archaeological discoveries unveiled the remnants of their lives. Tools, pottery, and intricate rock art that spoke of a vibrant culture. These artifacts became windows into the past, igniting curiosity and wonder about the lives of those who once thrived. In this arid expanse, the story of the Sahara's transformation served as a stark reminder of the fragility of ecosystems and the interconnectedness of humanity with the environment. The lessons learned from the Saharans echoed through the ages, urging modern societies to reflect on their relationship with the Earth. The impacts of climate change, resource depletion, and environmental degradation became urgent topics of discussion, drawing parallels to the challenges faced by their ancestors. As the world confronted its own existential crises, the legacy of the Saharan civilization offered a glimmer of hope. The stories of resilience and adaptability inspired movements focused on sustainability and environmental stewardship. People began to recognize the importance of nurturing the land, not just for their own survival, but for the generations to come. In the end, the lost civilization of the Sahara became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit can endure. As the sands of time continued to shift, the stories of those who once called the Sahara home remained etched in the annals of history, a testament to the power of unity, resilience, and the enduring connection between humanity and the earth. The narrative of the Sahara's transformation from a green paradise to a vast desert serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities of human existence. It is a story woven with threads of beauty and tragedy, resilience and vulnerability. The lost civilization, though buried beneath the sands, continues to inspire and teach us about the importance of stewardship, collaboration, and our intrinsic connection to the land. As we reflect on this journey, let us remember the lessons of the Saharans, their struggles and triumphs, so that we may honor their legacy by nurturing our own world, ensuring that the stories of our time are ones of hope, unity, and a deep respect for the earth that sustains us all.